This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to Futures Focus, talking all prospects all the time across all the levels of the game. Brought to you by Prospects 1500. My name is Jeremy May, and I am super excited about this week. I set this all up last week, but I am just crazy excited about this. MLB draft time is my favorite time of year as a prospect fan. And as an actual baseball fan. So this is just a treat, number one, to be in this time of year. But you listeners and myself are in for a treat because today I'm joined by Sean Kernahan. He is our MLB draft, and I would just call him everything high school and college athletes, baseball athletes expert over at Prospects 1500. I personally use Sean's analysis in my own FYP prep in my dynasty leagues because Sean works all year at this, and he knows these players much better than any other source I have found and trust. So super excited to have Sean on today. And matter of fact, Sean is so dedicated that he's already moved on to his 2026 prep, which is insane for me to even think about because I'm still trying to wrap my head around 2025. So with all that said, welcome, Sean. Sean, introduce yourself to those who don't know you, and kind of tell us a little bit, tell the listeners a little bit about your process and kind of what you do in the year with these rankings.
Yeah, of course. Again, my name is Sean Kernahan. I'm the draft writer here for Prospects 1500. I helped head up the top 25 rankings for the college baseball season here as well, which we're going to be rolling out again next year, and hopefully talking about a little bit more often on this podcast. I think I came down with had about notes on about 1,200 players in this year's draft. I think I've got about 800 or 900 already notes on players for 2026. I did the math earlier. I've got 120 hours of video set aside that I'm going to be going through over the next coming months. It's getting out the ball fields, getting what I can on TV, talking to coaches, talking to players, agents, scouts, and gathering as much information as possible, and then trying to make sense of it all and put it into something a little bit easier to consume.
That's just crazy when you think about when you say those numbers. The average person, we're going to go through, by the time we finish this, we're going to maybe talk about anywhere between 85 to 100 guys. That's 10% of what you're working on in a year, and that's just insane to me to think about all that. But what's awesome is what you talk about. You get the live looks, you're getting the video. You're not just pulling back and looking at stuff. You're talking to scouts, you're talking to people. So you're coming at this with a lot of background, and that's what I think is so huge and why this is such valuable information to have coming from you. So. Sean, I want to be the first and definitely not the last to say thank you for all the prep you put in, because it's a crazy amount of work. I can't even imagine. So
yeah, I mean it's the Sunday and Monday. Those were my Super Bowl. If you went on my Twitter feed, it was getting stuff out there. I think I reacted to every single pick on day one. Um, a couple hundred on day two. So I did my best to get as much information out there as possible. And then I've got, the ranks that go up on Prospects 1500. I'll be on this podcast. I've got my own website doing more detailed reports all throughout the year.
Yeah, I saw a picture. I think you posted it on our Prospects 1500 group chat of your war room, dude. It's insane. You had more TVs in one room than I have in my house. So that was that was impressive. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I had eight screens and two phones going to try and
jeez,
keep up.
it's crazy work, man. Crazy work. Well, um, I, I, I think we're going to jump into this
Hmm.
and talk a little bit. I think first, before we get started, for listeners who, this is only my second podcast hosting, and I think over time people will kind of start to see everybody has their biases when it comes to prospecting and when it comes to player evaluation and all that stuff. And so I think when it comes to this specific conversation, it's going to be really good for me to kind of be upfront and kind of about my, I guess, quote unquote bias. Um, and that's what's going to be great about Sean, because he's going to keep me in check. Because just because I value prospects one way does not mean that everybody should do it the way I do it, because it may not even be right. But my kind of my bias when it comes to this, Sean, is if I have an early pick, and this is all strictly from a dynasty standpoint, and
Hmm.
we'll kind of get a little bit of a mix of dynasty and real life talk going on today. Um, but I'm just super gun shy of taking pitchers early in a first year player draft. That's just history with me. So I think you guys will start to see some. I may be a little more negative than Sean on some things, but I like to find pitchers, but I kind of like to try to find that value late every once in a while. Another big bias of mine is I'm just not patient, so I don't love to wait on high school kids sometimes, and even less high school pitchers for sure. Um, so that's kind of where I fall in. I do definitely see the value in chasing the tools in some of these high school kids for sure, and it's always good to have some of that, in your minor league ranks and dynasty. But I do want to kind of be upfront about that. But all that said, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong. Last year's draft, 2024, seemed like we had a lot of pretty ready-made college bats at the top. Would you agree with me there?
Absolutely. Last year it was college bat heavy.
Yes.
If it wasn't for uh, injuries and whatnot, you guys like Bazana and Weather Holt, and we'd have guys in Condon kind of beating down the door a little bit more. I know we've already got some arms up there.
Hmm.
Surprise, surprise, the Angels got Christian Moore up there quickly. But yeah, it was a very heavy college bat year last year.
Yeah.
The college arms fell off pretty quick last year.
Yep.
This year, quite the opposite. I think we saw it on draft day, but we'll talk about it as we're going through this as well. It was not the year for the college bat. So, Jeremy, you're gonna have to go ahead and figure out a different strategy, because the ready-made college bats just aren't gonna be there quite like you want
So
early in the
that's
draft.
that's the perfect segue. I'm calling this draft the draft of college pitchers and high school shortstops. Am I
Hmm.
wrong?
Not at all. It was college pitchers. I don't think I've ever seen the depth of left-handed pitchers, college or high school, that we saw this year. The number of shortstops, especially high school shortstops, that were announced as shortstops, they're not all going to be shortstops. Most of
Sure.
them won't be. Will definitely, I think they set records as far as players announced as a shortstop. And so finding that happy spot, this is going to be a really interesting FYD year, because there's going to be a lot more of the what are you going to look to do? Are you going to take that swing on a guy with the highest upside? The highest upside guys are going to be the high school guys and just stash them and wait. Are you going to get the ready-made arms and that risk? Because there's a bunch of arms. We could probably see 5, 6, 7 arms. I would not be shocked to see 5, 6, 7 arms from this class in the big leagues next year. That's a pretty darn quick turnaround. It's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be unlike a first-year draft that you've seen in quite some time.
Well, good. I'm glad that I'm glad at least that my unofficial, my uneducated first look at this is not totally off base. So I'm glad that you broke that down and made it sound even smarter than the way my head was trying to wrap around it. But yeah, I mean, I think Sean, we kind of talked about this. I think what we'll do, we'll kind of go pick by pick through the first 15.
Yeah.
And kind of my thoughts behind that for the listeners, that will pretty much get you through air quotes your first round of a typical FYP draft. If you're in a 15-team league, that's going to get you through your first round. Obviously, there will be some international kids potentially thrown in there later that we'll get to at another time, but I think these first 15 picks is going to be good to hear Sean's analysis and go through them a little bit more. And then after that, we'll kind of take chunks of 10 and kind of let Sean impart some of his knowledge there if you're on board there, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to go ahead and be upfront a little bit on this. My ranks are, the real life ranks. They aren't the FYP ranks. But I will mix in, the real life aspect, the FYP and fantasy future for these guys, and also just some draft strategy that we saw. And there was a lot of draft strategy that happened this year. That is going to be important to kind of put into context as we're going through some of these as well.
Well, that's going to be so huge because the context is so key when it comes to looking at this. I mean, we'll get into it for sure, but the Major League Baseball draft is not, correct me if I'm wrong, is nowhere like the NFL and NBA or other professional sports. There's so much about the signing bonuses and trying to take, there's so much strategy that goes into it. That really does change things. So that's awesome. We're going to kind of get a balance of both things, but so that said, let's jump in and get going. The first pick, which came from the Nationals, and I'm going to set this up a little bit here for you, Sean. I'm going to toot your horn a little bit here before I get your thoughts on this pick. Okay. I'm watching the draft. I'm watching this thing go, and I'm thinking the Nationals, thinking they've got a new GM. He's got to be playing it safe, right? He's going to take one of the big college arms. He may go ahead and take the big name in Holiday. To me, when I saw the Nationals take Eli Willits, right?
Yep.
Yeah. A high school shortstop from Oklahoma, I thought, whoa, didn't see that coming. That's a heck of a reach. But I'm going to quote Sean from his top 250 article, Sean, if this is okay with you, the one you put out on Prospects 1500. Willits is committed to Oklahoma, where his brother plays, and his dad is an assistant coach. But he won't make it to campus as he has a plus hit tool and wheels to go with a polished defensive profile at short. And here's the key. And is a dark horse to go 1-1. So I was surprised, but Sean, clearly you were at least thinking this was a possibility.
I think on draft day I said I was about 75% on Kate Anderson, 15% Ethan Holiday, 10% Eli Willits. Draft day came. Those were the only three names that was really hearing between the three of them. That last hour or so, the Eli Willits noise really picked up. A lot of it was looking at what did the change at GM do? And we'll get into it as we're kind of looking at this. Washington, the way they were able to manipulate their draft, I'm really impressed by, considering the change at GM. It's not to say that everybody involved wasn't already involved. All the scouts, they had already worked on that. I don't know anything from inside of there. My guess is there was a little bit of, obviously the issues at the major league level, but also approach differences kind of led to the timing of that change. But Eli Willits is the youngest 1-1 pick in Major League Baseball history. And if I'm not mistaken, the person who he beat as the youngest, the prior youngest, was some guy named Ken Griffey Jr. So, going young has worked in the past. Is Eli Willits Ken Griffey Jr.? Not in the slightest. If I were to put Eli Willits into my 2026 ranks, which, by the way, until the early last summer, he was a 2026. He reclassified early in the summer last year. He'd probably be the third shortstop in high school for this coming class. He would be third or fourth high school player in the class. But that also being said, the top of the 26 class is significantly higher than this year. This year's the high end, it didn't have the quick glance. It didn't look like it had the generational talent. Who knows what comes out of these guys? But yeah, Eli Willits, fringe average power at best is my guess. He's probably a little bit below average on the power. He's got a plus hit tool. Like I said, he's still 17. I don't think he turns 18 until like October. No, my goodness, he doesn't turn 18 until December. He is incredibly young. He can run. He's gonna be at shortstop. And you know, I will make this all but guaranteed. I just about guarantee he will have more home runs in the big leagues than his dad. Then again, Reggie Willits did have 0 home runs and over 1,000 plate appearances. So you're gonna get a little bit more power than his dad had. But it's a plus hit tool. He's gonna run some. He plays a premium position. If you're talking first year draft, this is not the number one guy. I had him 6th overall on my big board as far as just regular baseball. I probably would have him that's probably around the right range for first year draft. It's just he's a hit tool. He's a runner. He plays defense at a premier position. You're not going to have. I don't see him being like those wild carrier league type of numbers. But as far as a baseball player, he's damn good.
So what I'm hearing is he is going to be a bit better in real life than better as a dynasty aspect.
To me, yes. Now he's still a first round dynasty pick. Yeah, I mean
Okay. Yeah.
he's going to be good. But the guys like Ethan Holiday, you know, Seth Hernandez, is some of the other guys we'll talk about. They're just going to have more impact in the aspect of they will have bigger numbers. This is Eli Willits is a pick for the total package and the baseball player, not necessarily the future stats, which should be quite good. And we'll break into it a little bit later on. I'm not to saying that Eli Willits was not the number one guy on the Nationals board, but Eli Willits going number one allowed them to do some of the stuff they did in rounds 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, that's where that strategy comes in, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay. Pick number 2 with the Angels again was one when it was made that I was very, very surprised. But again, Sean, I'm going to quote you from your top 250 article, and I'm going to stop doing this after these two. But the reason I'm doing this, and you'll see why I'm doing this, because this goes into showing you do this year round, right? So Bremner, your comments on Bremner is that he was an early 1-1 candidate for you coming into the year. But again, we know that his stuff wasn't as sharp throughout the season as it was over the summer, so he slid down draft boards. So, the Angels, pick number 2. Sorry, I should have said that. Tyler Bremner, right-handed pitcher, UC Santa Barbara. Okay, I know nothing. I'm going to be 100% honest. I know next to nothing about Bremner before he was picked second in this draft and after I was reading your stuff. Shock to me, but at least to you at least can see maybe what the Angels were thinking? Thoughts, Sean?
Oh, absolutely. This is another one that if I had Liam Doyle in my mock draft going to here, a lot of people did. It just seemed very Angels-esque if they were to do that. My sense was coming into the day on day one is that Kate Anderson goes 1. They were going to go with Liam Doyle or something along those lines. If Kate Anderson didn't go 1-1, as soon as I heard Willis' name, I was thinking they were going Kate Anderson. But Bremner had long been a name that had been brought up. I know the Angels were out at UCSB multiple times down the stretch of the season to see Bremner. If you look at Bremner's the last 12 months, last summer he was absolutely shoving, especially for Team USA, for the collegiate national team. He has a big fastball, gets up to 98. He has either the best or second best changeup in this class, a genuine double plus potential pitch that is an absolute filthy. Now the difference was back in the summer, he was snapping off his slider really well. At the start of this year, he was really struggling with his command. It was just catching too much of the plate. His fastball was getting hit pretty more often than people were expecting, scouts were expecting. The slider, it started to come back around towards the end of the year. It never had the sharpness that it did back in the summer. But the fastball, changeup. Fastball is an easy plus pitch. Like I said, changeup could be a double plus pitch. The slider, when it is on, if back in the summer I had a plus grade on it, probably backed off to average to above average right now, just based on what I saw over the year. And he can command all three pitches. He did get, like I said, he caught too much of the plate, especially early in the year. If you look at his first half of the season versus second half of the season at UCSB, totally different numbers, totally different pitcher. He really he really locked it in the second half. This is a guy who, I'm not trying to exaggerate, this is a guy who could be at the back of a rotation in the big leagues today. He has the stuff. It would be good for the Angels to actually take some time with him, get him to really work on finding that consistency with the slider. But that fastball changeup is one of the better two-pitch mixes you're going to see. And if that slider comes back into the above average, even flirts with plus, this dude has every chance to be the best pitcher in the draft.
That's insane to think of that big of a swing. In a player that I knew nothing about, to now thinking that he could be one of the fastest moving pitchers. Of course, being on the Angels, he's going to be one of the fastest moving players probably. One thing I'll put into context about Tyler is honestly, I had no clue, and Sean, you probably did know this, but I was reading an article about him, and I had no idea that his mom was battling breast cancer pretty heavily during the beginning of his college season, and actually ended up, correct me if I'm wrong, but she passed away just shortly,
like
a little time before the draft, right? Like in June or something. And, this is a 21-year-old kid, and you've got to know that's weighing on him. So, we sit here and talk about how his numbers weren't great the first of the year. I mean, come on, dealing with that.
Forget it's so easy, especially when you're looking at at your fantasy team. It's so easy to look at the names and the stats to forget, like, these are human beings, and this stuff going down early in the year, he would never come out and say, and I'm using an excuse, but there's no way it didn't weigh on him.
Oh, 100%. I'm 45 years old, and I don't want to go through that. I mean, this is a 21-year-old kid. It's just like you said, it's the human side of it that we don't know. So I'm rooting for the kid. He's going to be one of my personal favorites just because it's a great story, and I'm rooting for him. So
plus he's with the Angels, so we're going to see him very quickly.
Yeah, could see him at the end of this year, right? All right, so let's roll on to pick number 3, who, again, you've alluded to it. I've said it. I thought there was no way this guy wouldn't be in the top 2, but the Mariners take Cade Anderson, left-handed pitcher from Louisiana State. I have a love-hate relationship with Cade Anderson. I am a Razorbacks fan. So, Sean, I need to say no more about why I have a hate relationship with Cade Anderson. I got to see him single-handedly help essentially eliminate us from the College World Series. But Cade Anderson landing with the Mariners. Does it get better than that?
There's a reason in my mock draft I put Seth Hernandez here. Seth Hernandez is and we get to him in a bit. Polished high school arm, going with the Mariners and where they're able to help, develop arms. Cade Anderson falling to Seattle, they could. There's no way they could have been more excited. It's such a perfect fit. It's something that adding a left-handed arm to that staff, a guy who could be, and you'll hear me say like I talk about top end potential, likelihood, and things like that. Ceilings, floors, likely landing spots. There weren't many. I probably will only say there's one guy that has ace upside in this draft, which we'll get to in a little bit. Kid Anderson, his upside, a number 2 starter, probably fits in as more of a number 3 starter, which a guy who's talked about 1-1 and felt a steal at 3. That doesn't excite you a ton here and a 2 or 3 starter, but he's a guy that his floor is probably a 4 starter. I mean, he's gonna be there and he's gonna be there quick. He's has the Tommy John history from back in high school, like so many of these guys do these days. But fastball, curveball, slider, changeup, command of all 4, legitimate. All 4 of them are legit pitches that grade out to above average to plus. He's a stud. He's gonna get up there, probably pretty quick, and you've seen what he could do. Like you said, you're a Razorbacks fan. You've seen what he can do to you. I mean, his curveball's an absolute hammer. He uses the fastball a lot. I saw a stat. I think it was around 70% of the time with that fastball, but it has plenty of carry up in the zone. Like he led the college baseball in strikeouts. As a lefty, you need to see a good changeup because you're going to see more righties than lefties at the plate more often than not. His best pitch might be the changeup on certain days. He can get swings and misses with all 4 of his pitches. If you're talking about a guy who is in consideration for number 1 in your FYD, it's Cade Anderson. He's a guy who is college arm, to be quick moving, and is going to go ahead and get you strikeout numbers and things like that. Of course, you also run into that, which probably is one of the reasons you tend to avoid pitchers early. He's already had Tommy John in his past, and there's just so much injury risk with pitchers. But if there's a guy who is safe to go ahead and get you production soon, it's going to be Cade Anderson.
Nice. You gave me all the reasons that I would consider taking a pitcher early, and the word was safe. Because there's nothing safe about pitchers, but that's about as safe as it gets. And I 100% agree with you on Cade Anderson. That's why I love that landing spot in with the Mariners. And if you think about him pitching half his starts roughly in that stadium, which is a pretty pitcher-friendly park, it just amplifies to me, everything. So thank you for confirming my love-hate relationship with Cade Anderson. All right, pick number 4. And I have a love-hate relationship with this pick, and I'm just going to let you talk about it. Colorado Rockies took, as we all know by now, son of Matt Holliday, Ethan Holliday, well, and I guess son of Matt, brother of Jackson. Ethan Holliday, announced as a shortstop. I've heard a lot of people say third base, from Stillwater, Oklahoma, high school kid. Okay. So talk me off the ledge of why okay, here's my bias. I don't like the way the Rockies develop players. I loved Ethan Holliday. Talk me out of avoiding him in my first-year player draft.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Enter the world of sports the way you want with EA Sports College Football 26. Whether you rise through the ranks as a coach or chase greatness from high school recruit to Heisman, build your legacy and wear your colors with pride. Buy College Football 26 now at go.ea.com/MVP-bundle and bring glory home today. EA Sports College Football 26 is rated E for everyone. Includes in-game purchases, including random items.
So this is going to be a little bit of me reading the tea leaves without the final details and things like that. I'm cannot wait to see what this signing bonus is by the time this goes up. It may be announced by then. I have a feeling the best offer was coming from the Rockies, that because of his history with the Rockies, Matt Holliday has had plenty of conversations with people within the Rockies. My guess would be there is kind of an agreement and a plan in place for the development of Ethan Holliday, beyond just the signing bonus aspect, but actually his development going into it, that relationship that Matt Holliday has going into it, to me, Ethan Holliday is not another Rockies prospect. To me, he's going in there with just, I can't see them treating him like some of the others. And I agree. The Rockies developmental, you look at their minor league baseball coaching positions, the money that the Rockies put into the development is not what it should be and is not on par with the rest of the league. But I just don't see Matt Holliday, knowing that organization as well as he does still, saying, yes, Ethan, this is the right place to go. Because I'm telling you, again, without any intimate details, I know there had to be some aspect of his relationship within the organization as to why he went here. I wouldn't be surprised if they, one, were offering the most, and two, they just had the best relationship. And that's where the MLB draft is different than other drafts, is you can build those relationships to go ahead and get your guy to go there. Do I think he was consideration at 1? Yes. Consideration at 2? Possibly. 3? Yes. But to me, it was Ethan Holliday was going to the Rockies for months now, and it was when I was building my mock draft, it was, okay, Holliday to the Rockies at 4, now what happens at 1? That was just my approach to it, because that was just the way it was. There's something different about the fact that it's Ethan Holliday to the Rockies and the history there. There's your positive. I just don't think he's going to get lost like some of those other guys have.
Great information. It makes perfect sense when you break it down like that. That's awesome.
Now, that being said, you can also be on the ledge because it is still the Rockies. So
it's still the Rockies. You're right.
Still that risk. And yeah, I don't think he's a shortstop. I saw better actions this spring that he's going to start at short. I think he's got a chance to start his career at short, but I don't see him there long term. The actions are definitely at third base, but the power's huge. The hit tool is the quote-unquote question with him. He's a guy like Xavier Nines, we'll talk about later, who almost too passive. He was far and away the best player on his team. He has a good eye at the plate. He doesn't like to expand the zone. So he didn't tap into his power as much at times than you would like to see, because he's not afraid to take his walks. Getting into pro ball, adjusting some of that, making some tweaks to his approach, not being the far and away best player in every lineup, will adjust the pitches he sees. And I think that his hit tool comes up a half a grade just as a result of being in pro ball. I think just by stepping into pro ball, I think his hit tool gets better. but the power's massive.
Nice. All right. Fifth pick is my team, the Cardinals. Took Liam Doyle, left-handed pitcher from Tennessee. As a Cardinals fan, I was thrilled. As a dynasty person, I'm intrigued. What say you, Sean?
I think intrigued is the perfect word there. Um, the range of possibilities here for Liam Doyle is massive, and all of them are going to be fantasy friendly. Um, he's got a ridiculous fastball. His split changeup, I think, does not get enough credit. His cutter, I think, is actually better than a slider at times. The dude gets strikeouts. If you've watched him, I think most college baseball fans have a hate-love relationship with Tennessee. They are not exactly the easiest team to get behind at times, just with their fieriness, but that's at the same time kind of brings the entertainment value of Tennessee. And this guy embodies Tennessee baseball. I mean, he is fiery, he is hollering, he is his face is turns bright red by the end of each inning. Like, it is a fiery approach. And with that, there's going to be the concern is he going to be a starter long term? You don't take a dude at 5 if you don't think he's going to be a starter, but there's plenty of reliever risk. The mentality screams closer. The effort in the delivery screams reliever. But he holds his stuff deep into ball games. His command, it can get away from him at times. That's the biggest concern I have with him, is just he will absolutely lose his command with all the moving parts. But last year, one of the top arms that we had concerns about because of the effort and delivery was Chase Burns, but there's enough athleticism in Chase Burns to say maybe he makes it work. There's enough competitiveness in Liam Doyle to say maybe he makes this work. Maybe he allows it to work in a rotation for sure, and he will get the strikeouts. If it doesn't work that way, then you're going to get a high leverage reliever. He's going to help your team fantasy and in real life. Either way, it's just what role he ultimately gets to is the big question.
Love it. As a Cardinals fan, I really love hearing that. All right. Let's move forward. Pick 6, another NL Central team. The Pirates came in, and you hit on this kid. Mm-hmm. Pirates selected Seth Hernandez, a right-handed pitcher out of a California high school. Now, I was hoping to see some history this year and see the first ever right-handed pitcher drafted 1-1. Obviously, we didn't get that, but the Pirates have to be thrilled with this, right?
I, coming into the draft, was saying the Pirates have to go Ava Arquette. They need to be at some sort of a polished college bat who could contribute soon, because, let's face it, the Pirates have arms, they don't have bats.
True.
When Seth Hernandez was available here for the Pirates, you cannot argue them making this pick. Seth Hernandez was my number 1 guy. I don't know if I can make the full argument to have him number 1 on an FYD because he is a high school righty. But he's unlike other high school righties we've seen. And if you look at it, how would you feel if you had Hunter Green? He was a high school righty in consideration for 1-1. Was it Jackson Jobe was in consideration as a 1-1? Like, there are high school arms that go into consideration for that 1-1 that end up falling down a little bit because they are high school arms. To me, Seth Hernandez, he is the one guy I mentioned earlier. He is the one guy with ace upside. He has a fastball into the triple digits. And it's not a flat fastball. I mean, it's got shape to it. His changeup, if anybody has a better changeup than Tyler Bremner, it's Seth Hernandez. And by the way, Seth Hernandez is a 19-year-old. coming out of high school. Seth Hernandez's changeup can get big league hitters out today. He's got a curveball that's an absolute hammer. He's got a quality slider. He's got command of it all. This is going to be a fast-moving high school pitcher because, again, he is 19. You hear a lot about the models. You couldn't get a little bit more different than Eli Willits at 1-1 at 17 and a half years old versus Seth Hernandez, who turned 19 a couple weeks before the draft. But the upside here with Hernandez is incredible. He's got genuine ace stuff. He's got massive fastball, incredible changeup, 2 breaking balls, command of it all. Pirates got to be thrilled. And to me, like I said, it's hard to argue for a high school right-handed pitcher at number 1 in your FYD. God, I'd consider it.
Hearing you say that a 19-year-old kid's changeup can get major league hitters out today is an impressive compliment to lay on that kid. That's something else. All right, pick number 7. You mentioned the name. Thought the Pirates should take him. Marlins. Maybe you want to say fell to the Marlins. So the Marlins take Ava Arquette, shortstop, Oregon State. Sean, tell me about him.
Probably the second best landing spot for him. Like I said, Pirates probably would have been the best. Marlins make a ton of sense for him. This is a guy I had many a debate with some scouts around the industry early in the year. I've long been on the aspect that he is a shortstop. Coming into this year, there was plenty of thought that he was a third baseman, maybe a second baseman. I think the more general consensus is now is he is truly a shortstop. This dude is he is a 6'5", 220-pound guy, which is why he's a big shortstop. But he's got really good actions. He's got smooth hands, soft hands. He's got a big arm. He can make all the plays at short. He is a shortstop, which will help with the positional aspect. The hit tool, yeah, there's still some questions. He answered some of them this year. He still chases. There's still some swing and miss. But the power, if there's a chance of it going to a full plus tool, when it comes to pulling the ball, it's an easy plus power tool. He can drive the ball out of the ballpark the other way. I remember watching some of the early seasons when he was in some minor league ballparks, and he hit a home run to right center that I think it was in Jacksonville that nearly left the ballpark. I mean, he's got power to the other opposite field gap. He has power to all fields. He's a shortstop. There's going to be some swing and miss here. There always will be. But the dude's legit.
So we know the Marlins need bats. And at the major league level, like now, as I look at roster resource today, the starting shortstop for the Miami Marlins is Otto Lopez. Sean, how fast can we expect realistically to see him potentially in Miami?
If you were to say who is the best right now shortstop in the organization, it might be Arquette today. That said, I want them to take some time with him. I want him to work on that hit tool a little bit more, that approach a little bit more, really make sure he's maximizing his power. I think, and even when I mocked him to the Pirates, I thought he was a guy that could contribute quickly, sometime mid to late next season. But if he does not get a sniff the big leagues until 27, it's still pretty darn quick. But that just means more time for him to develop and to fine-tune at the minor league level rather than on the biggest stage. And I think that will be better long-term. I actually think the longer it takes, if it takes him 2 years to get to the big leagues, I think that's actually better for him than if he's up there early next year.
Makes sense. All right, coming in at pick number 8, the Blue Jays took JoJo Parker, a high school shortstop out of Mississippi. Now, Sean, I heard some rumblings from a few quote-unquote experts that JoJo Parker might have been the best high school shortstop in this draft. What do you think?
I can see the argument. I'm not one of those, and we'll discuss that here in a couple of picks. If you're talking high schooler, well, for one, he's I don't see him being a shortstop. So that's one of them. Because I would say, does he have the highest upside of any shortstop? Ethan Holiday still does, but I don't think either of them end up at short. Um, he does have one of the best hit power combos. Unlike the guys who are like, yeah, there's real power in the bat for Ethan Holiday, but there's some questions on the hit tool. He's hit over power, but he's got legitimate power here for JoJo Parker. I think again it's probably a third base. He's at the plate. It's a good hit tool. He's balanced. He uses the whole field. Quality gap power. From a pure visual aspect, I wrote a Jock Peterson comp just as far as the way the swing looks. So kind of visualize it. It's one of those, and but give Jock a more of a polished hit tool, but similar power. Like that's the type of bat you're looking at. Again, I like it. He's a heady base runner. He doesn't have the greatest of speed, but I saw him score on a sac fly from second base in a game. He knows where he's in the field, where guys are positioned. He's a smart baseball player. But yeah, he's hit over power, but that power is pretty darn close to the hit tool. Probably one of the better and more polished hit power combos. I just don't see him being a shortstop, and I can certainly entertain the argument of him being the best high school shortstop coming out. It just wouldn't be for me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Pick number 9, Cincinnati Reds took Steele Hall, shortstop, high school shortstop out of Trussville, Alabama.
So we talked about Eli Willits, 17, youngest guy in the draft, youngest one ever, originally a 2026, but reclassified early in the summer. I don't think anybody reclassified to the 2025 class later than Steele Hall. We found out Steele Hall was reclassified to the 2025 class in, I believe it was November, when he announced that he was committed to Tennessee for the 2025 class, not the 26 class. I mean, he was, the entire summer, he was working as a 2026. And then in November, everything changed and he became a 25. The biggest difference in him, there was a ton of change to his frame. He added like 15 pounds of muscle over the summer and early in the fall before the spring came around. He matured a ton physically. He's got good bat, the power, not a ton. He might be the best overall athlete in this class, though. The dude can absolutely fly. He is a shortstop. This is the first guy that we've talked about on the high school side that is definitely a shortstop going forward. And like I said, it's solid hit, okay power. But if you think about it, if you're a little bit below average overall power as a shortstop, that's still darn good power. And that's probably what we're talking about for Steele Hall. But he's a guy who can fly. He's going to steal bags. He knows what he's doing on the bases too. This is a dude that is an athlete. This was high for me in the draft. I had him, he went 9. I had him ranked 12. Some guys slipped here, but to me, honestly, the power is never going to be there, and it's just a high praise just as far as the player, and it's not. I'm not trying to comp it, but the Ellie De Cruz with just the shortstop aspect, the athleticism, the speed, it's not too far from that mold.
Wow, that's exciting. Coming in at pick number 10, the Chicago White Sox selected another high school shortstop. This one is Billy Carlson from California. Not gonna lie, I did not know much, a whole lot about him, Sean. So fill me in.
High school teammate of Seth Hernandez and would often close games that Seth Hernandez wasn't able to finish. He was 94, 95 on the mound, would be draftable as a pitcher.
Oh
But he
wow.
will never step on the mound again. Why? This might be the best defensive shortstop to ever come out of high school. This dude is ridiculous with the glove. If he never hits above 200, he still has a future in Major League Baseball. He's just that good of a shortstop. He's got a cannon of an arm. He can make the throws from any angle. He's got range. He's got smoothest hands you're going to see. And my biggest questions on him coming into the year was the bat. Over on my site, three-quarter slot, he was one of the few players that I actually redid a report on, because to me, it hit the change when I first wrote him up in November versus when I did it again, I think in May. The bat was a completely different tool. It was, to me, a below average bat with some pop in it, to the point, but then it changed around. I'm like, he could have genuine average bat. He could have average to better pop. I mean, and play Gold Glove defense. It's that good. He's just ridiculous. I at one point, yeah. I mean, I could say getting to about average power, and there's times he looked like an above average hit tool guy with some of the best defense at shortstop you're going to see.
Nice. So I'm hearing a lot of phenomenal defender, obviously. Cannon for an arm, that will obviously play. Is there much dynasty? Do you see much dynasty value in this pick?
If you ask me this in November, December, I would say no. Today, fringes. To me, it's more of a second round type of guy. It's one of those that if you're looking at if you're looking in like your second or third pick and you're trying to get somebody who you know is going to be in the big league someday, so it's not a wasted high school pick. This is like a good pick for it. There just isn't going to be the ceiling on the offensive numbers that guys like JoJo Parker will have. So yeah, he would definitely fall down my ranks on the FYD aspect, but he's also, just because of the defense, he's a lock to be a future big leaguer. It's just, and sometimes just adding a future big leaguer deep on a roster, depending on how deep your league is still valuable.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we always say that in the dynasty game, defense doesn't matter, but if you're not on the field, then you're not producing anything. So yeah, good, very good analysis there. All right, so now we're getting towards the back end of a first year player draft, just in numbers. With pick number 11, the Oakland Athletics took Jamie Arnold, another left-handed pitcher from Florida State. So, with everything the A's have going offensively at the major league level, as far as youth, potential, so on and so forth, this pick just makes sense, right? Like, he's a college lefty that's going to move fast. Am I right?
Absolutely. I would not fault you for drafting Jamie Arnold 1-1. I think Kate Anderson is the top of a FID draft right now. Jamie Arnold has an argument for that. And a lot of the year, he was the favorite to go 1-1 in the actual draft.
Mm-hmm.
Kate Anderson's down the stretch just changed it. His strikeout numbers is what brought him above Jamie Arnold, and probably what would keep him ahead of him on an FYD draft as well. But if you're sitting second in your league and Jamie Arnold's the one that falls to you, you're not losing much. Plus fastball, ridiculous slider, maybe the best slider in the draft. Coming into the year, there was some real question about a third pitch. The changeup really improved this year. It became a swing and miss pitch. It showed plenty of fade. Probably like it flashed above average to plus. It's probably more of an average pitch overall, but it really does flash and show signs of playing up at times. The arm slot is ridiculous. I mean, it's almost sidearm. Uh, it's even though he's 6'1", that's long limbs at 6'1". There's deception. It's hard to pick up. The ball jumps. He's been up to 97. Like I said, that slider quite possibly, and probably be more deemed a sweeper on TrackMan, but the breaking ball is one of, if not the best breaking balls in this class. And he started to really show signs of a quality third offering, and he throws strikes. So deception, big stuff. It's left-handed pitcher with the A's. I know it's not. Who knows what the Vegas ballpark will eventually be, and what Sacramento, is moving forward, and how long they're there and whatnot. But the AL West overall isn't a bad place to pitch, with Seattle and Anaheim, and it's a quick moving lefty. With stuff and with swing and miss stuff.
Pretty exciting to think about what the A's could potentially have in a combo of Jamie Arnold and Gage Jump, both coming at you from the left side. That could be pretty fun to see. Pick number 12, back out there in the AL West, the Texas Rangers selected correct me if I'm wrong on the pronunciation, Gavin Fine.
I believe it's fine. His brother's actually in the A's organization, so he goes here to the Rangers, but stays in the AL West. Not only in our conversation, but in the family.
Interesting. So yeah, he's a third base, a high school kid out of California. So that's Gavin Fine.
Yep, and again, his brother's Dylan. He's a switch hitting catcher with the A's organization.
Yeah.
But Fine is a guy who, from a scouting point of view, you talk about the love-hate relationships. He was one of them for me this year. Nothing looks like it should work. It's just there's busyness. There's it's a high handset. There's the rhythm just seems odd. It doesn't flow. It's not the picture perfect pretty swing. But every single time he tends to be barrel in the right spot, barrels the ball up, hits the ball hard. Gap to gap, and it plays. He's third base, good arm. He's got some speed. It's a potential 5-tool type guy. He is, like I said, visually, he's not how you draw him up, but as far as pure production numbers, and what he did through the showcase circuit, and every time you thought, okay, well, it's got to fall off at some point, it just continued to get better. He absolutely mashes. He's got, like I said, the back gets the ball, he barrels it up, the ball jumps. Do I think any of the tools are going to be plus? No. Do I think they're all at least average? Yes. Do I think he's going to put up big numbers? Do I think he's going to put up average numbers at the big league level in time? Yes. Do I think there's going to be some tweaks that have to come along the way that his pro hitters can disrupt his timing? Absolutely. This is one that'll be a little bit slower moving high school bat, and maybe one of the higher risk bats just because it's not how you draw it up. But the dude's a gamer, and every time you watch him play, he ends up 3 for 4 with 2 doubles, and that's just the type of player he is. He'll put some balls over the wall. He'll add some strength, especially as he just commits to third base. But Yeah, the dude, the bat's real.
Nice. We'll switch over to the NL side of the West for the pick 13 and go with the San Francisco Giants. And they picked another Gavin.
Yep.
Gavin, is it Killen?
Yep.
Gavin Killen. Oh, yes, I know that. Another rowdy Tennessee Volunteer. Gavin Killen, a middle infielder from Tennessee.
Picked by the Red Sox, coming out of high school in 22. Went to Louisville. Contributed. Was good at Louisville. I think he would have been like a second, third round guy based on what he was doing there. His second year, he started to show more pop than he did his first year. Then he goes to Tennessee. I don't know what Tennessee is feeding these guys. There's as much as we give Vitello love, their strength and conditioning coach is ridiculous. Guys beef up there. He went from a 40 top on the 2080 grade as far as the power tool to probably still below average 45, but showing signs of more at times. But the hit tool changed. They adjusted his approach. He made much smarter swing decisions. He didn't expand as much. The hit tool is real. There's going to be some pop. He has handled shortstop. Do I think he's a shortstop long term? No. Do I think he can in a pinch? Yeah. There's plenty of guys at the big league level playing shortstop that, coming up, they were not shortstops for me. So do I think that there's no chance he plays shortstop? No, I think there's a shot that he can be there, but probably second base. But he can, he'll be a middle infielder. Good hit tool, some pop. Are we talking big numbers in the future? No. The tools just aren't going to be those big numbers, but I think the average, that hit tool is real, and I think that it'll at least be a contributing member of your middle infield.
So I always worry about when I hear on the lighter side of power, lighter side of moderate power, and then I see a home ballpark out there in San Francisco. I always feel like that's going to suppress the power numbers even further. So that does concern me a bit. But hey, a high average guy's got a place as well. So
exactly, that's one of those. Is this the guy that's going to have the biggest upside in your draft? No. Is he going to be the sexiest, most exciting guy? No. Is he going to be a guy who ends up in your starting lineup and contributing? Yes.
There you go. Pick number 14, the Tampa Bay Rays selected Daniel Pierce, a high school shortstop, shocker, from Georgia. Anytime the Rays pick somebody, I automatically pay attention. So is this one I pay attention to in my draft, Sean?
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Got a car to sell but no time to waste? Hop on to Carvana.com to get a real offer for your car in seconds. All you have to do is enter your license plate, answer a few quick questions, and if you accept the offer, Carvana will pay you as soon as you hand the keys over. They even offer same-day pickup in many cities. Save your time, score some cash, and sell your car the convenient way to Carvana. Pickup times vary. Fees may apply.
Choice Hotels get you more for your money so you can maximize any road trip. Like with the road trippers we see here in their natural habitat, the breakfast area at a Comfort Inn. Here's a dad teaching his son how to make waffles, fluffy golden waffles. There's a mom making sure her daughter eats some fruit to avoid the "I'm hungry" from the back seat. And a sibling standoff over the last muffin. This is the cycle of vacation maximizationing in all its glory. Check into more. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Yes and no. Kind of like we talked about with Killen, the lower side of average power, and I don't see a ton of physicality coming into him. I think he's listed at 6 foot 185. I don't see a ton of projection in the frame, but he plus runner, quality hit tool. He's gonna stay at short. Is he one of those super athletic guys that the Rays like and kind of fits that mold and could fit in that? Yeah, he's a guy who, like I said, I think he stays at short. He hits the ball well, and he can run. Um, he look, I had him 19 overall. He went 14. This is probably the right range, both in real draft and FYD as far as ranking. Does he have the big upside? No. Do I see him hitting home runs into the teens? Sure. And if he's got a shortstop with, who hits 275, 280 with 13, 14 home runs, there's a spot for that.
Oh, for sure, especially in that Rays organization, they know how to flat develop them. So, all right, so I knew looking at this stuff, Sean, that we could potentially run long, and I knew this was going to be 2 episodes. But I think what I want to do, I'm going to change up my flow. We're going to talk about pick number 15 because I really, really, really want to talk about pick number 15. And then I think, Sean, we may take a break and pick this up on another episode after this. But
with some of the bigger ones, obviously we'll dive deeper here in these first 15, and then kind of look at the bigger groupings after that.
Oh, for sure. But I do not want to leave out Kyson Witherspoon, pick number 15 to the Boston Red Sox, a right-handed pitcher from Oklahoma. And there's multiple reasons. Number one, Scott Green would probably remove me from this podcast if I didn't focus on a Red Sox prospect. But I really, really like Witherspoon. I was very impressed. I got to see him live 2 times. I really is impressed by him. Tell me, from what I saw in college, am I wrong in thinking that he has number 2 upside?
No, he's got number 2 upside. He's got the first pitcher to crack a big league roster potential. This is a guy who I've followed. He had draft interest coming out of high school. He had draft interest at Northwest Florida State Junior College. Now, coming out of high school, his brother Malachi was ahead of him. Junior college, it was a little bit they were pretty neck and neck. Since getting to Oklahoma these last 2 years, it's Kyson who has taken that big step forward. What's crazy is that Kyson Witherspoon has potential plus slider, an argument for the best slider in the draft, but I'd be hard pressed to say he has the best slider in his own home because Malachi has a better slider. But Kyson, rather than Malachi, Kyson actually has starter stuff. Malachi's going to end up in a bullpen in time. Kyson Witherspoon, big fastball. He's going to hit triple digits before long. Like I said, slider, true putt plus pitch, it can get into the 90s. It's got depth. He's got a big downbreaking curveball. He's got a changeup, but very little. To go with that slider, he actually has a cutter. He's got 5 pitches. The fastball, curveball, slider, cutter, all flirt with plus to better. The changeup, all it needs to do is keep hitters honest. Going into a organization like the Red Sox who need arms, it was a perfect fit. I didn't expect Kyson Witherspoon to be here. I had him as my number 8th ranked overall guy. But to me, as far as FYD, he's a top 3. To me, it's Witherspoon, Arnold, and Kate Anderson. Those are the 3 guys you need to be targeting at the top of the draft. 2 of them are lefties. This is the one righty who gets knocked down draft boards because he's a righty. That's just the way it works. Big stuff. Yes, number 2 upside. Probably fits in more like a number 3, but there's going to be strikeout numbers. Big stuff. He's a starter. Set it, forget it.
I'm sold. I love it. Well, Sean, like I said, we teased it. We went long, but it's great stuff. This was great talk about these top 15 picks. We're coming back, though. We're going to wrap this episode. We didn't come in under an hour. It's okay. It's worth it. It's all great stuff. But stay tuned, because there's part 2 of this coming, where Sean and I are going to dive in a little bit more. Again, wrap through some of these a little faster. And Sean's going to give us even some deeper names to be looking out for, and then just do some general questions about the draft. But that'll come next week. So, Sean, I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
We're going to do this again very, very soon. You and I are going to do this right now, but everybody else is going to do this very, very soon. But we're going to sign off. So that'll do it for this week's episode of Futures Focus. We're going to catch you next time, and stay tuned for more draft coverage from Sean Kernahan. Thanks, guys.